Hi, hello, welcome back. And we're here with another read. We are reading about command line interface, CLI, on techtarget.com. And again, definition is command line interface. I usually like reading what's on the screen, so I usually start at the top of the website. So it's TechTarget again, search Windows Server, Home, IT Operations, and Infrastructure Management. So definition, command line interface, CLI, Peter Loshin. It looks like lotion on it, but it's Loshin. Former senior technology editor Alexander S. Gillis, technical writer and editor. What is a command line interface? A command line interface is a text-based user interface, a UI, used to run programs, manage computer files, and interact with the computer. Command line interfaces are also called command line user interfaces, console user interfaces, and character user interfaces. Command line interfaces accept as input commands. So CLIs accept as input commands that are entered by keyboard. The commands invoked at the command prompt are then run by the computer. Today, most vendors offer the graphical user interface, which is a GUI, as the default for operating system or OSs, such as Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. Most current Unix-based systems offer both a command line interface and a graphical user interface. The MS-DOS operating system and the command shell in the Windows operating system are examples of command line interfaces. In addition, programming language development platforms such as Python can support command line interfaces. The command line dropped in popularity following the introduction of GUI-based personal computer OSs like Microsoft Windows and Apple's classic Mac OS in the 1980s. The command line remains an important tool for IT professionals, software developers, system admins, network administrators, and many others who prefer a more precise and reproducible interface to their systems. What is a shell? In computing, a shell program provides access to an operating system components. A shell gives users or other programs a way to get inside the system to run programs or manage configurations. The shell defines the boundary between inside and outside. The following are two types of operating system shells. CLI-based shells offer users a concise and efficient mode of interacting with the OS without requiring the overhead of a graphical user interface. GUI-based shells are considered easier for beginners to use, but they also include a CLI-based shell for system administrators or power users who prefer to interact at a command prompt. Bash is the most commonly used command line shell for Unix-based OSs, including Linux. The software that handles the command line the software that handles the command line interface is commonly referred as a command language interpreter. Okay. All right. So this is a command processor or command interpreter. Two well-known CLI shells are PowerShell. So let's look at this. The software that handles the command line interface is commonly referred as a command language interpreter, a command processor, or command interpreter. Okay. All right, now, but two well-known CLI shells are PowerShell for Windows and Bash for Linux and Mac OS. Okay, so Bash is two well-known. So CLI shells. So shells, you got PowerShell and then you have Bash, and then for Bash you have Linux and then Mac OS. Okay, great. Shells are the outermost layer of the OS and are often separated from the underlying OS kernel. A shell operates like an application and can be replaced as needed. An OS may have more than one shell available, as in the following examples. Microsoft Windows includes the command prompt app as well as the PowerShell application, both of which can be used to interact directly with the computer. The Windows subsystem for Linux also provides a CLI with access to the underlying system. Linux and other Unix-based operating systems usually provide the born-again shell, Bash, as the default shell. Other shells, including C shell, Z shell, and others, can be configured as the default system shell. So again, okay, make sure. All right, so Linux and other Unix-based operating systems usually provide the born again shell. Okay, yeah, so you got Unix-based operating system too. Which is okay, Linux and other Unix-based operating systems usually provide the born again shell bash as default shell. Other shells, including C shell. Okay, so all right, so we have something called the C shell, the Z shell, and others can be configured as a default system shell. Okay. Because this shell is only one layer above the OS, users can perform operations that are not available in other interface types, such as moving files with system folders and deleting locked files. Sounds dangerous. To get the greatest benefit from using a CLI shell, users should learn a scripting language. Most command line shells can save sequences of commands in a script or batch file, which may be fully programmable. Shell scripting is the foundation of basic systems management automation. How do CLIs work? Once a computer system is running, its CLI opens on a blank screen with a command prompt, and commands can be entered. And types of CLI commands include the following: system commands that are encoded as part of the operating system interface, executable programs that, when successfully invoked, run text-based or graphical applications, and batch programs or batch files or shell scripts, which are text files listing a sequence of commands. When successfully invoked, a batch program runs its commands, which may include both system commands and executable programs. Okay. CLI is more than a simple command/response system, as most have additional features that make one preferable to another. Some features include the following: scripting capability enables users to write programs that can be run on the system from the command line. Command pipes enable users to direct the output of one program to be the input for another program, piping the flow of data. System variables can be set at the command line or the values of those variables displayed. Command history. Features enable the user to recall previous commands issues. Some save command history for the session, like PowerShell. Others can be configured to store session history for longer, like Bash. Commands and syntax for CLIs tend to be very stable over time, in part to enable backwards uh, compatibility for scripts. So it says commands and syntax for CLIs tend to be very stable over time, in part to enable backward compatibility for scripts. Prompts and commands. Depending on the operating system and the command line, there may be hundreds or even thousands of different executable commands available. So, okay. The set of commands may vary dramatically between operating systems or applications. Okay. For example, Microsoft defines hundreds of CMDlets as lightweight commands to be used in PowerShell. PowerShell functions are lists of CMDlets or LETs, or however you want to say it, CMDlets, that can be run at the command line. Here's another video. Go look at that video in this article. Just go to TechTarget and type in CLI, and this article will pop up. You can watch that video. Some commands run at the command line by themselves, such as the dir command. Directory. So see the format. See this format right here. It won't even copy. Oh yeah, right here. See that right there? See that format? Alright. Commands can also be used with arguments, sometimes referred to as parameters. Okay. That modify how the command should be run. Arguments follow a command and provide additional details or specifics. The cd change directory command in many CLIs is used to change the current working directory when the desired new directory path is included as an argument, but in some cases, as in MS-DOS or the Windows command prompt, the command by itself returns the current working directory. The command resets the current working directory. CD documents, user working. Arguments okay, those are the arguments or parameters. Arguments enable command line users to get very specific results that are sometimes not available through a graphical interface. Modern CLIs provide pipes or mechanisms for taking the output of one command and sending it as input to another command. The vertical bar or I symbol is often used for this purpose. Okay. So, modern CLIs provide pipes or mechanisms for taking the output of one command and sending it as input to another command. The vertical bar or I symbol, okay, is often used for this purpose. The following one-liner uses pipes to string together several PowerShell commands to retrieve detailed network configuration information from a Windows machine. So it says get net IP address, sort interface index, get live pipeline, FT interface interface index, interface alias, address family, okay, IP address, okay, showing what it's doing. So again, the following one-liner uses pipes. Those pipes right there, the little vertical lines. Let me show you right there. That little vertical line is a pipe. I don't know why I didn't say pipeline, but the following one-liner uses pipes to string together several PowerShell commands to retrieve detailed network configuration information from a Windows machine. Even though this string is entered at the command line as if it were a single command, it includes the following consecutive commands. Get net IP addresses retrieves all IP configuration information for the computer when entered without any arguments. Sort interface index accepts as input the output of the get net IP address. cmdlet and sorts it by the interface index value associated with each IP address included in the computer configuration. FT interface index interface alias address family IP address. It uses the format table FT command to format the sorted output of the previous command and displays the specific values for each IP address. Okay. All right. Backward compatibility is often a goal when new CLIs or command line interfaces are introduced to replace existing command line interfaces, as when Microsoft replaced MS-DOS with the Windows command prompt. So that's Windows command prompt. So again, it says backward compatibility is often a goal when new CLIs, command line interfaces, are introduced to replace existing CLIs, as when Microsoft replaced MS-DOS. Okay, so Microsoft replaced MS-DOS with the Windows command prompt. Though some MS-DOS commands are no longer supported, most will still work in PowerShell as originally intended. Common MS-DOS commands include the following. So now you got CD, you got check disk, you got copy, you got delete, you got directory, and then you have these ones that I don't really completely know about that we're going to read about. Format, make directory, more, does that say more? Yeah, that says more, prompt, I think that's rename. Yeah, I believe that's rename. Oh no, removes. What is rename? That's remove directory. Type. So let's go back up and read it. So we got command, example, and notes. So we got CD, and there's an example of how you can input it. And then notes, probably tells a little bit more about it. Changes the current directory to the specific path when entered with no path. It displays the current working directory's name. If the path is included in the command prompt, the prompt will change as in the example. See also prompt below. Alright, now we got CHKDSK. So that's the way you type it in. And then you type in which one you want to check for the parameter or part of the arguments. So it says checks the specific disk in this case. So this is you're checking the disk. So checks the specific disk. In this case, the floppy disk in the A drive. And returns a status report showing the disk size, number of files and directories in use, and number of bytes used. Okay, so next one we have copy. Copy specified file or files Can be used to copy files to duplicates with different file names or to copy files into a different directory without changing names. Delete. Deletes a file or files. Can be used to delete files in the current working directory or in some other directory. Can also be used with, what's that say? I believe it says wildcard, yeah. Wildcard characters to delete groups of files. dir. Alright, you see what it's doing there? Showing you a couple of ways how to do it. Alright, displays all contents, files, and directories in the specified directory. If no directory is specified, it refers to the contents of the current directory. It can also be used with wildcard characters to display only specific files. EDLIN starts EDLIN, a line editor that can be used to edit text files. In this example, it is being used to edit the autox.bat file. Ooh, excuse me, you guys. We are reading, and let's keep reading. Formats a disk so it can be used with MS-DOS. So we have mkdir. Creates a new directory in the specified path. More displays contents of a file one screen at a time. It is mostly used for text files. Okay, so it displays contents of a file. All right. Prompt modifies the default prompt. In this example, parameters are used with a command to set the prompt display as the current drive and path, the day and date, and the greater than symbol. The resulting prompt is shown in the example. Okay. So RMDIR. So remember that removes the directory type. Displays content of a text file without page breaks. All right, now let's go down here, man. This is something we're familiar with too. CLI versus GUI. The graphical user interface is the most popular user interface today. A GUI uses windows, menus, and icons to execute commands using a mouse. Using a mouse is the most common way to navigate through a GUI, although many GUIs allow some navigation and program execution via a keyboard. Microsoft Word is an example of a GUI-based application. A user can change options for page layouts and styles by selecting the corresponding icon or pull-down menu with a mouse or keyboard. An example of output from the PowerShell command line. One advantage of a GUI is the interface. One advantage of a GUI is the interface can visually display available functions. However, because it relies on graphical display, a GUI may not have the same level of functionality and granular control as a command line interface. For example, it can require numerous clicks and movement through several dialog boxes in a GUI to accomplish the same result as a single command line. In addition, GUIs do not readily support scripting or automation. For common tasks, a user must repeat each click or navigate each dialog within the GUI manually. System administrators who may need to manage hundreds of thousands of system and configurations will find a GUI far less efficient than a CLI. A simple CLI command can easily adjust configurations for a large group of systems at once. Commands and arguments can also be combined and saved, then executed as a script each time that specific action or comprehensive set of actions is required. The CLI is the preferred tool for many enterprise-wide systems management tasks. CLI advantages and disadvantages. The following are advantages of a command line interface: granular control of an OS or applications, more efficient management of a large number of systems, ability to store scripts to automate regular tasks, and basic command line interface knowledge can enable troubleshooting of network connection issues, or resolving other system tasks. The disadvantages of a command line interface are the following. GUI is more user-friendly, a steeper learning curve associated with memorizing commands. Yeah. And complex syntax arguments and different commands used in different shells. All right, here's another video you guys can go take a look at by going to this article. And I believe that's maybe the end of this article. And then they have some other articles down here that you can continue reading about command line interface CLI. So, yeah, go check these out and just try it out. It's on your computer. Shoot, it's on your phone too. But that is the end of today's read. We will see you next time.